All right. Hello, welcome back to the stream. It's been a while. Hello, Masta. Hello, Master Car. Good to see you both. So yeah, finally getting back into it after somewhat of a long hiatus, and I have a little bit of camera misalignment there. Well, whatever, that's probably fine. Hello, Hassan Abadi. Welcome to the stream. All right, so yeah, as the title suggests, today we're going to be working on Ludum Dare 55. The theme for this game jam is summoning, which I would like to say is right up my alley, but we'll see. We'll see what the quality of the game I create is. So yeah, the idea that I'm going to be working on is you play as this necromancer character here, and you collect skulls, and the skulls can be used to summon these skeletons. Pretty straightforward so far. But the kind of twist on the typical necromancer experience is that your skeletons are not smart. They don't have any AI. They don't automatically attack enemies or anything. They basically become props that you use to destroy the enemies yourself. So I'm imagining like you'll do some kind of force punch or whatever to the skeleton to launch the skeleton physically at enemies. I'm also thinking that maybe there could be a way you could pick up the skeleton and use it as a melee weapon to attack enemies. Still have to figure all that out, but I think that's going to be an interesting twist in terms of how this genre typically works. And then the enemies are alien invaders for some reason. I don't know. I have this color palette that I picked out that I really like, and it just seems to lend itself well to that kind of thing. So that's the game. It's going to be kind of goofy, kind of weird, and that's what we're going to be working on. So actually, I should probably increase this size so everyone can see it a little bit easier. Okay, so let me run the game and show you what I have. Oops, I don't want to have that on. Let's get rid of visible collision shapes here. So yeah, I've got the little necromancer guy running. If I can pick up the skull over here, it starts rotating around me. So I've got one stored, and I can press enter to spawn the skeleton, and then I can click to launch him. So that's kind of the idea. Now, what will happen typically is that after the skeleton is launched, it will collide with something and then explode, and the skull will go bouncing all over the place as well. So I think that's going to be really fun. And it's just going to be chaos. These enemies are probably going to shoot some kind of blaster, like alien blaster thing. And yeah, I guess it'll just be a progression of levels. Like I said, I haven't really figured it out that much. What I'm going to focus on in this stream is building out some of the combat mechanics. And see where that takes me. Usually I don't really have a clear idea of where these games are going until after the first day is done. So most of this is still exploratory. So we'll see how it goes. Hello, solo leveling. I'm back. I am back. Okay, so we've got this guy able to be punched. Now I think what we're going to do is let's get him exploding on the enemy and exploding when he collides with the walls as well. So let's start with the wall collisions. How in the world do we do that? I'm a little bit rusty on Godot, so let's see if I can figure this out. Let's see here. Get last slide collision. I bet you I could just use that, huh? I wonder if that would be sufficient. Let's try it. Var collision is equal to get last slide collision. If collision is not equal to null, then we're going to queue free. All right, let's take a gander at that. Okay, that works. Wow, that was easy. Gotta love Godot, right? No C# this time because I want to host a playable web version, and I'm pretty sure C# still doesn't work in the web for Godot 4. So just for ease of people playing the game, I'm using GDScript. Also, it's a good skill to have in case one wants to go ahead and update some Udemy courses, you know. Just throwing that out there. By the way, my usual plug still applies. If you want to learn how to make a game in Godot 4, I do have a Udemy course. The link for that is in the description if you're interested. So we've got this guy being destroyed. Now what he needs to do is he needs to drop a skull when he gets destroyed. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just go ahead and preload. Var skull instance is equal to preload skull .tscn. We'll create a new method, func destroy, and let's actually move this up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. We'll put our queue free back in there. We'll get rid of this, and we'll call destroy in here instead. Now on destroy, we need to get a skull. This should be skull scene. Skull is equal to skull scene dot instantiate. And then what we're going to do is we're going to call get parent dot add child skull. We should actually probably set the global position here first. Just set it to the current global position. Now, is the skull... Let's see. My skull is also a character body 2D here. We're going to remove it from the layer, though, because we don't want it to be... We don't want it to count as terrain. So the idea is that the skull will kind of inherit some of the movement of the skeleton, and then it will bounce around a little bit. Just to add to the chaos, but we won't do that just yet. So get parent add child skull, queue free, And just to make sure I didn't do anything incorrectly, there's the skull. We can pick it up. We can summon another one. So that's the basic loop, is like you continually launch skeletons and whatnot. Now, it probably would make sense to spawn the skull at the head position, but we're not going to worry about that yet because that's going to create some collision challenges as well, because, you know, if the skeleton is all the way up here, his head is outside of the map boundaries, and so we don't want to spawn the skull there, right? But not to worry about that right now. Did I ever manage to work around the old shader stuttering issue? Looks like there's a PR coming by Dario that might fix that. No, I mean, one of the reasons why I sort of paused on Gunforge development for a bit was because of these technical issues that I was having that I could not solve no matter what. So I've been kind of waiting for Godot to become a little bit more mature in that sense. There's another reason I haven't done much work on Gunforge lately, and that's because I have been working quite a bit at my real job. So, but I'm ready to get back into the swing of things. Gunforged is still in progress. So it'll come out eventually. But yeah, it's not abandoned. It's just paused for now. Okay, so skull scene instantiate, cool. So we've got all that going on. We're going to do some particle effects in here too, but I don't think that's useful yet. Let's go ahead and work on... We'll create a function called like start here. Let's do... Call it initial velocity, I guess. Vector 2. Now we need to make this bounce. I don't know how to make things bounce in Godot, but we're going to say velocity is equal to initial velocity. Can we give this some kind of... Can we give this some kind of damping? Or should this be a rigid body, perhaps, if we wanted to do that? I mean, maybe I'll just try doing it the naive way first. Func underscore process delta. I actually might need this, so... We're going to call move and slide on the character body. Velocity equals velocity dot lerp. We want it to lerp to 0 over a period of time. And we'll do a frame rate independent lerp, which is basically just, we'll call this like friction or something. Negative friction times delta. So that will gradually slow it to 0 in a frame rate independent manner over time. And then what are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with this? What are we going to do? So let's get the last collision. Now I actually don't know what this does. Kinematic collision 2D. I'm assuming I have a normal. Yeah, so I have a normal. So what I think I might be able to do is if last collision is not equal to null, let's do this. We're going to say velocity. Well, velocity dot reflect around last collision dot get normal. Something like that. So if we reflect it around that normal, what we should get is if it's coming in at an angle, it should just go the other way. And if it comes in straight, it should just go straight back out. I think that's how it's going to work. We shall see. So I need to call this start function when this skull is added. So I'm going to say skull.start. Oh, it doesn't know that this is a skull. Still getting used to GD script still. Again. Skull.start initial velocity being the current velocity of the skeleton. Let's give that a whirl. let's try something a little bit simpler for this collision here. Let's just say velocity equals negative velocity. So we'll just, I know this is not going to produce the correct bounce pattern, but I just want to see if that wasn't working because, okay. So that just wasn't working because I have the reflect logic wrong. So how does reflection work then? I guess maybe I need to do the last collision dot get normal and reflect the velocity. Is that how that works? Let's try it out. Oh, I have errors here. The normal vector must be normalized. Okay, so I had it right the first time. I wonder if I just missed those errors. Okay. We'll get the magnitude of the velocity, and then we'll say velocity dot normalized. This should all be normalized here, so let's see. That did not work. Maybe I should read the docs. It doesn't matter if you use xp, which is the natural exponent. Is that what it's called? Natural exponential function. You just need to use an exponential function here, so you can use pow or xp if you want. I think that's how it works. But anyway. Using raylib now, yeah, that's understandable. Is there going to be a devlog after the Ludum dare is done? Yes. I have already recorded quite a bit of footage so far. So, probably will be a devlog within a week or two after the game jam is over. All right, let's figure out how this reflect works. Returns the results of reflecting the vector from a line defined by the given direction vector n. Okay, I guess I can... Let's just print velocity.normalized. And then we'll also print last collision.getNormal. Let's do velocity.normalized.reflect. We'll see what this actually produces here, I suppose. That doesn't help. So let's just look at some of these numbers. So it's positive in the x, negative in the y, and then when it gets reflected, it's negative in the x and still negative in the y. Oh. Why is that not reflecting? It's reflecting the x value, so it's just negating the x value. But it's not doing anything about the y value. Is the normal what I'm expecting to see here? Okay, so the normal's pointing to the left, that's correct. And it's only reflecting the y value here. So I guess, do I have to do extra work here? Is this reflect not working the way that I think it is? Or maybe I need to use a different one? let's see, what methods do we have available here? What is aspect? Oh, aspect ratio. Clamp cross. Project, reflect, rotate around, side, snapped. Let's just look it up. How to get bounce vector off wall. Using vector projection. Okay, I guess I can just do this more simply. I guess I don't even need reflect here. Silly me trying to use the tools that are available to me when I could have just said if last collision dot get normal. Well, let's do this. Store the normal. If normal dot x is less than 0. Velocity dot velocity dot x times equals 1. -1, I mean. We'll just try it with that case. See if I'm on the right track here. Okay, that seems to work. So we'll just keep this pattern. If normal dot x is greater than 0, it's just gonna be the same thing. So I can just say could use not equal to 0, I suppose, but too late. We're not fixing it. All right, let's go. Alrighty. Well, that was much simpler than I thought it was going to be. We'll just do this last case just to be sure. Very nice. So it'd be really cool if the skulls bounced off of each other when they were bouncing around. I wonder if I might turn that friction even down more. Just make it slide around. So the reason why, yeah, so you could pick up the skulls and you can place the skeleton wherever you want. And then the idea is that you might be able to create more powerful skeletons or different types of skeletons depending on how many skulls you are currently holding. Is there a bounce function? Let's see. Oh, there is a bounce. Wow. Wow. Thank you for the help. Let's see. So I can just say velocity is equal to velocity dot bounce normal. Oh, so much simpler. Very nice. Okay, thank you. Alrighty then. Hello, Alxo. Thank you for the Udemy guide. You're welcome. My understanding when the C# goes to GD extension is that there might be API changes, but my understanding is that the API is largely going to be the same. It's just like kind of a different way of delivering C# capabilities to the engine. Because I think what they want to do, and I could be mistaken about this, so don't take my word for it, but I think what they want to do is they want to move away from distributing two different versions of Godot and just distribute one version of Godot inside of which you can pack your own extensions and your own add-ons to make it work how you want. So C# would just become an extension onto the standard download the standard binary, essentially. That's my understanding. I don't know if that plan has changed, but... All right. So let's get this guy bouncing or impacting on this little alien. And I think what would make sense is that it probably shouldn't bounce off the alien, probably should just drop the skull right there, because the aliens are kind of soft and not really bouncy, you know? Cool. And then the other thing I was going to do is have the skeletons able to block projectiles from the enemies here. So you could hit a skeleton, place him down, use him as a shield to dodge bullets, and then send him at the enemies. But one thing at a time. Okay, so we're going to need a couple of things here. So one thing that we'll need is the collision area here. So let's do an area 2D. We'll give him quite a large collision area. That should do it. Now, the question is, do I want to detect the collision on the skeleton or on the enemy? I probably want to collect... Well, I probably need to do it in both places. Yeah, I probably need to do it on both places, so we'll do that. var collision area. So what we're going to want to do is initially set this collision area as disabled, or the shape at least is disabled. And then here, we need a new collision layer. Should I just call it collision? I guess I can... do I want to reuse these things? Let's do that. Actually, let's be a little bit more specific with these layer names. Let's do enemy hitbox, skeleton hitbox. These layer names, most of these came from my template project. So I have a template project that's set up with basically all the project settings that I want and the file structure that I want. And then I just kind of duplicate that project whenever I start a new game jam or something. So it saves me, 10 or 15 minutes of configuration. Gets me set up with everything that I need. So we're starting off with that collision area. Let's set this mask. We're going to look for the enemy hitbox, and this is going to exist on the skeleton hitbox. I guess that's fine. Okay, and then we're going to need to do the same thing on the enemy. We'll make this enemy hitbox a rectangle shape. Send that up here. Make it fairly large, I suppose. That'll work. Okay. I just tried to write public, which is C#. So hitbox dot area entered dot connect. Okay, so we're setting up our signal connection here. I think I probably will need to add a class name to this. And then also the same for the skeleton here. If so var skeleton is equal to other area dot owner as skeleton. If the skeleton is null as a result of that cast, we're going to return null. And then what we're going to do is we are going to queue free, I guess. Cool. And then we got to set up the same thing in our skeleton here. So we've got our collision area dot area entered dot connect on collision area entered. Just say area collision area entered. Cool. And then var enemy is equal to area dot owner as enemy if enemy equals null return. And then here we are also going to call destroy. But when we destroy, let's do this. Let's do a velocity override here. Vector2 equals vector2 dot well, let's just do this. Start velocity. And then in here, we'll say vector2.0. And then in here, we'll say velocity. All right, let's see if that works. I have a feeling that I probably did something wrong, but let's see. Okay, did not work. Probably because I didn't set up the enemy collision area. So this is going to exist on the enemy hitbox layer, and it's going to scan for the skeleton hitbox. Still didn't work. Why did that not work? Oh, because I'm not, there you go. That's why you use the debug view. Because I didn't enable my collision area here, which starts as disabled. Right there. So let's access his unique name, collision area shape. Okay, and then when we launch, we'll set that back to enabled, and then I need to replace this with launch speed. Cool. All right, let's see if that works now. Still didn't work, but I have an error, that's why. Can't change state while flushing queries. So we got to call set deferred on that instead. Set deferred, disabled, false. Let's give that a shot. Hey, look at that. Now we got a couple of errors here. Why is that? Oh, can't change state while flushing queries. Right. So I have to do the same thing here. Does this work? Oh, I think I can do this, can't I? Destroy dot call deferred. Can I pass in arguments into call deferred here? Yeah, okay. Let's give that a shot. Boom, no more errors, and it works. Okay, so very basic. We don't have any sort of animations or anything in place, but I think the next thing to do is to get maybe the enemies shooting and whatnot, just to get a feel for how it's gonna work when I'm actually dodging stuff, right? Hello, Ariane Michael. Don't know where the emphasis goes on your first name, but welcome to the stream. Glad to have you here. I'm going to commit what I have, so basic combat work. Yes, I'm using VS Code as my Git client. Okay, let's go ahead and create. Let's create a bullet that the enemies will use. Just put a black background there for now. So we're going to do the classic. Let's do this. Just a big old circle. Maybe with a centerpiece, but also I wonder if putting like a black ring around it would be good. That's decent, I think. And then I wonder, might see if I can pull off doing another ring like so. I don't know if that's actually going to be good. Maybe I can make it yellow instead. Or maybe it should just be red again. That looks kind of decent, I guess. I think maybe this white in here is a little bit too big. I mean, I guess the bullet itself might be too big here. But we're going to try it anyway. Yeah, we'll give that a shot. Do I want to add even more colors here? Probably not. Yeah, we'll leave it at it as is. Goodness. Give it an outline. Which is typically not going to be visible against a black background, but when it overlaps with a character or whatever, it'll still maintain that like separation, if that makes sense. Now let's see if that size is even reasonable. I probably should have checked that first, but oh yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. So that's going to be the size of the bullets that you'll have to dodge. Add some particles to it, it'll look real nice. So let's get the enemy shooting then. Firstly, I'm going to create a new scene for the bullet specifically. Now, do I want the bullet to be a character body? No. Well, do I? Might as well. I get stuff like movement and whatnot for free. Probably wouldn't be the choice that you'd make if you had a lot of bullets flying around, but given that this is a very small game, it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's add a collision shape. Alrighty then. We don't really need this to do anything except get destroyed when it collides with the terrain, so I guess we can just go ahead and add that right now. Cool. We'll just create a start method here, and we'll also give it a class name. Just give it a speed of 150 to start. Cool. Let's go back to our enemy. Var bullet or const bullet bullet scene equals preload bullet.tscn. So there's a couple of things that needs to happen here. I need to be able to get the player's position, and I also need to be able to create that bullet. So let's just get the bullet going in a particular direction to start. Okay, and then let's add a child node. Do I have my random timer in here? Yes, I do. So I also have an add-on, custom add-ons. These are public on my GitHub, github.com/firebelly. A couple of add-ons, one of which is a random timer, which is basically just like a normal timer, except you can specify a random or a minimum wait time and a maximum wait time. So it's good for doing things like attacks. And, yeah, that's basically it. So let's call this attack timer. Attack timer.start. We have to connect to on attack timer timeout. We're manually controlling this because every time you call start on this timer specifically, it re-randomizes the wait time. So you kind of just have to keep the loop going yourself, so to speak. And then we want to do what? Attack. Cool. And then, yeah, so that should be good. Let's see if that works. It is working. I'm just not adding the bullet to the scene tree like usual. I might actually want to... Let me go to my main here. So we've got our entities. Let's add another node 2D, and we'll call this like a foreground layer. And we'll give it a group. Oops. Cool. And that's where we will put all the bullets. So we'll do get tree dot get first node in group foreground. Let's change the bullet dot global position to, we'll just spawn it at the enemy's feet for now. Foreground dot add child bullet, and then bullet dot start. Okay, let's see if that works. There we go. So we got our bullet. I'm going to turn off this visible collision shapes there. All right. Now, is that random? Oh, you know what? It's not random because I think I need to call start random on it. Yeah, because you can't shadow functions in GDScript. Where did my enemy go? Did I close my enemy on accident? Okay, so we have to call start random on this. Start random. Okay, that certainly looks more random, but we can even make it more obvious by upping this minimum or max wait time there. Nice. Okay. So now what we need to do is detect when the player gets hit by a bullet. So we're going to add an area 2D. Add child node collision shape. Basically going to make this a little bit smaller here. Generally speaking, just as a general game development tip, you want to make your hitboxes as advantageous for the player as possible so that the player has no one to blame but themselves when they get hit and die. So, okay, so it's actually, is that what we want to do here? Yeah, I think that's fine. So what layer does this need to exist on? This needs to exist on the... I'm just going to call this bullet. I'm just going to use up all these layers. So it's going to go on the bullet layer. And then in the player, which we do not have open, let's create a... I think I'm supposed to be calling this like hurt box, but whatever. Whatever, we'll call it a hitbox. And then we want to look for the bullets. Put this up here. All right, and then we'll do a rectangle shape. And we'll sort of just loosely and generously center it on the player here. So like really, you're only going to get hit by the bullet if you're like center mass, you know? Okay, so I'm just going to move that out of the way so we can't see it anymore. And then let's go ahead and grab that hitbox here. On ready, var, hitbox, area 2D. Now, what I'm initially thinking here is that you'll just have one health. So you have a bunch of tools to prevent yourself from getting hit. I want to do like a dodge button. I want to have the skeletons be able to intercept the bullets and not die from it. And so really, like, I want to make it so that it's really hard to get hit, but if you do get hit, you lose. So there's going to be no health or anything. It's just going to be... That's the failure condition. That could change, obviously. Still in the early stages here, but that's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. Area entered, dot connect. We'll rename some of these methods here to be more descriptive. On hitbox, area entered. I'm just going to call get tree. How do I restart the game? Is there a way to restart? Oh, I thought there was a way to restart the game. Maybe there isn't. We'll just do this. Change scene to file, main. Whoops. So hopefully this just basically functions as a restart here. Obviously that will be handled much better, but just for the purposes of testing. Okay, that works. I can already see how this is going to be a little bit fun here. Let's go ahead and add a couple more enemies. We also need to make the enemy aim at the player, so we'll do that next. But I just want to see, kind of get a feel for what's going on here. I have to say, I really like this color palette. I think this game is looking pretty stylish, if you're asking me. Okay. Hello, I don't know how to say your name. It looks like perhaps it's a Korean name. Forgive me if I'm wrong, though. If I don't mind, is Gunforged in progress? I mean, it hasn't been abandoned, but I haven't done that much work on it. I mentioned that earlier in the stream. I fully intend to finish it. It's just with where Godot's at right now and where I'm at with my current real job. It was just best to put it on pause for a little bit, but this, I'm intending for this game jam to just sort of like mark my return to working on YouTube and game dev stuff in general, so including Gunforged. But we'll see how that goes. You know how life goes. Fortunately, this is not a full-time gig for me. Okay, everything's looking good here so far. I have some errors here. Let's resolve that. This function cannot be used during the in-out signal. Am I allowed to do an await get tree dot physics frame? Am I allowed to do that? Perfect. I love that new await keyword there. Super handy. Okay, let's get the enemy aiming at the player. So we're gonna go to the player object here. We need to add the player to a group here. So we've got that player added to the group. And then we need to expose the center. Maybe the center position is already here. Center marker, yeah. So it's generally this is what I do to get like center of mass for creatures or whatever, is just like put a center marker or a marker 2D on it, just where you want the center to be, and then you can just reference that position. Very easy. So let's go to our enemy and then attack. Let's grab the player. Get tree dot get first node in group player as player. And then we can say var direction is equal to player.center marker.global position. Can I do that? Is there like a dot direction too? Yeah. Does this work? Player.center marker.global position. Oh, that's weird that it doesn't recognize the type of this center marker. Lots of typing issues still with Godot 4. It's kind of annoying. All right, let's give that a shot. All right, that appears to be working. Look at that. Ooh, yeah, I can definitely see. So it's kind of bullet hell-ish a little bit. We could also make things a little bit more difficult. Very nice. This is going to look really good when I put like particles and stuff in it. But maybe we should get the enemies moving around now a little bit. Give them some basic AI and whatnot. How long has my longest session of work been working on Gunforged? In total? I usually don't work on Gunforged until after my normal work day, and sometimes, or usually on weekends too, so I don't know. I don't know if I've sat down and worked on it for more than like 4 hours at a time, max. But I couldn't really give you a concrete estimate there. Okay. So yeah, let me just think. Is getting the enemies moving the next best thing to do? Is that the next best thing? Yeah, once I add some effects in here, like the skull bouncing and landing, I think that's going to be really cool. I also want to see... I should be able to put multiple skulls in place as well. They won't rotate correctly, but... Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh. Might change some buttons around here, but... Launch both at the same time. Ooh, that kind of gives me an idea. Maybe there could be like an armored enemy. There could be an armored enemy that needs to be hit by 2 skeletons in quick succession in order to be destroyed. That could be really cool. Yeah. All right, let's maybe get the enemies working a little bit more. Let me commit what I have. Okay, I'm going to go take a quick break to get some more water, and then I will be back to work on some enemy AI stuff. So hang tight for about 30 seconds. All right, let's continue. All right, so what do I want to do here? I think maybe just like a basic run around and attack pattern here. So, yeah, let's just get him moving first. Give it an acceleration. Global position dot direction 2. We want to grab the player as well. Okay, so we've got our movement direction. Then we'll say velocity is equal to or plus equals movement direction times acceleration times delta. Velocity equals velocity dot limit length. What is our max speed going to be? Start with 100, see how that works. Cool, and then we can call move and slide. Oops, what happened here? Invalid type and function, direction 2 and base vector 2. I should do this as player. There we go. Ooh, those guys are fast. Ooh, killed all of them at once. Very nice. Oh, and created multiple skulls. Well, that's good. I already found a bug. That should be very simple to address, though. Yeah, so that should be fine. So they are moving very fast. I think I'm going to turn down the speed. Obviously, we're going to make this a little bit more complex as well. I'm not using pathfinding, which means that I can't leverage the sort of maintaining of distance between entities, but maybe I should use pathfinding just so I get that for free. I mean, what I could certainly do, well, let's just try this first. Distance. distance to. So let's do this. If distance to player is greater than, let's just create like a back off distance here. And what this is going to do is essentially, if the enemies get within a certain distance of the player, these enemies at least are going to back off a little bit. So if the distance to player is greater than back off distance or less than back off distance, then I think what we want to do is we want to movement direction times, let's just invert the movement direction. Okay, so that back off distance is a little bit high, but it's kind of creating the effect that I want, where these guys are kind of maintaining their range. Let's see. Let's turn that down to 100. And then, okay, so that's looking all right. Maybe the next step will be to get them to stop when they're about to attack. Could use a state machine for this, but I think for now I'm just going to say var is attacking equals false. On attack timer timeout, let's say is attacking equals true. So if we're not attacking, we'll move. Else, we're going to say velocity is equal to velocity dot lerp, and we're just going to lerp that to 0. Let's create an attack windup timer. And in the wind-up timer here, this will just be the delay. So the attack timer will signal, okay, I'm starting my attack, and then the wind-up timer will be how long until the bullet actually gets fired. So there's our wind-up timer. This in here, we'll say wind-up timer.start. We're going to call attack on that wind up timer timeout, and then we're going to say attack timer.start random. Okay, we'll get rid of the attack in here. We need to add that as a connection here. Timeout.connect on wind up timer timeout. Cool. And then we need to set is attacking equals false. I think that'll work. I might have missed something, but let's see. Very nice. So there's obviously some improvement that can be made here, but got our basic enemies in place. Probably we'll want to give them, so they tend to collapse to the same position, which is not good. So there needs to be some variability, I think, in their patterns here, which can be achieved in a couple of ways. One way to do it is to every so often just update a target position that they should go to that's near the player. So maybe We hear the same lo-fi songs. Yeah, well, if you're listening to Lo-Fi Girl, then we will, right? Why are you using process instead of physics process? Because process works better for high refresh monitors, and move and slide works just fine in process. I know the docs say to use physics process, but yeah, you'll notice stuttering. I'm on a 144 hertz monitor, and so when all the updates are happening in physics process, it creates a very noticeable lag and choppiness. So process, just make sure that I'm running it as fast as the monitor refresh rate or faster. Okay, so let's do let's assign a current target position. Let's create a function called let's create another timer. Let's call this actually, let's do a random timer for this. Target acquisition timer. I actually want to put all these things up here. That should be fine. Oh, I need to create a reference to this here. Target acquisition timer. Cool. If target acquisition timer dot not is stopped, return. And then here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this information. So we'll grab the player, get the movement direction, and the distance. And then what we'll do is we'll take that movement direction and we'll say equals movement direction dot rotated rand f range 0 tau. Yeah. So we'll just rotate it. Well, we don't want to do tau actually. Let's do tau divided by 8. Actually, we probably want to do negative. Yeah, so it'll rotate it in a random direction of 1/8 of a circle in either direction. And then we can do this. And then, now that we've got this movement direction and the distance to player, now we can define a random distance. So let's say var target distance. Randf range, min target distance, oops, and then max target distance. Cool. And then what we can say is our current target position is equal to player dot global position, or no, global position plus movement direction times target distance. So essentially what this is doing is it's just getting the direction to the player, rotating that direction by a little bit, like a random value. If the enemy is currently within the back off distance, it will just reverse that movement direction. And actually, I should probably do this rotation after that, now that I think about that. So yeah, so it'll reverse the direction, then rotate it randomly, then create a random distance between 100 and 200 pixels away from the player. Yeah, I think I do want this to be player.global position. Is that right? I don't know. Let's just see how it works. I don't think that's right. I don't think this line is right, but we'll just see. And of course, I didn't even update this code, so let's not worry about that. So I'll get rid of this. Movement direction is equal to current target position. Global position. Direction to current target position. And then in the beginning, we're going to say acquire target position. All right, let's see if that works. Okay, that's a little bit better. What that does is that kind of prevents them from bunching up in a very conspicuous way. Now I can probably increase this target acquisition timer, or decrease it rather, so that it happens more frequently. Turn down the acceleration. Actually, I don't know. Did I not do this acceleration correctly? No, I did. Okay. Oof. Can we still cap the frame rate using process? Yeah, there's a setting in the project settings called like max FPS or something. Let's see. Yeah, here. Max FPS under application run. You could set a maximum here. So I have it set to 240 just so it's like, I mean, VSync helps too. Like VSync will cap the FPS if it's on, but if it's off, this max will take precedence. And so even if VSync is off, this 240 won't be exceeded in terms of frames per second. So I just kind of put it higher than the frame rates of most common monitors, and then it just prevents the game from running faster than it needs to. Okay, so we've got some basic enemy AI in place. That's looking good. Let's fix this issue with the skeleton colliding more than once. So that should be good enough there. But then also, I think on the enemy, I want to do the same thing. And that should be good. I don't know how I'm going to test it. These guys are like not grouped together anymore. Ooh. Oh, you know what? I don't think that's going to work either. Yeah, that doesn't work sometimes. Well, I'm going to have to worry about that case probably later. But at least the case of the skeleton being destroyed multiple times and leaving multiple skulls is fixed. Can't wait to see the particles. Yeah, it's probably going to be a while before I start on those. But thank you. Okay, let's commit what I have. So, all right, what's the next best thing I could do here? I do want to add like a dodge roll button for the player. What should I do next? I'm just trying to think of like what's the most impactful thing to do. Obviously, there's a lot to do, but... I think obviously the first thing I want to do is let's change this input map. Let's do right mouse button for placing skeletons. One thing that I do want to do is instead of placing the skeleton right on the player, what I want to do is place it sort of in the direction of the mouse here. So summon skeleton. Plus direction to get global mouse position. Okay, so now when I'm placing them, they kind of go in the direction that I want them to go instead of right on me, so that's good. And let's just make sure that this works. Yeah, so when I go right up against a wall, whoops. Oh, it just doesn't work. That's funny. Could do like a whole summon animation and everything, like just a real quick. Maybe using area 2 to check if something is not colliding so you can place the skeleton. Hello, Marcos. Yeah, I can definitely do that. Can duplicate the alien enemy every 15 seconds. Yeah, I'm trying to decide like how I want the levels to work. Like, do I want it to just be one, like a single level game where it's just like a 2-minute onslaught of increasingly difficult enemies? Or do I want to have like a level progression where if you die, you can restart it at that level? It's something that I have to think about a little bit. I kind of like the idea of just making like super simple, like this is the game here, you know, and it's just like a 2-minute experience, but if you get hit once, you die, right? And so it's just like survive for 2 minutes, survive the alien invasion for 2 minutes, and like they just keep getting more and more difficult. And maybe more skulls pop out of the ground so you can keep increasingly using them. Yeah, I'm trying to decide if that's the way to go, or if doing a more of like a puzzle kind of game where it's like you have 2 skulls on this level, so that's all you can use, or you have 3 skulls on this level. Because the problem with doing like one giant or one 2-minute long increasingly difficult level is that it's not very easy to introduce new mechanics while all of that is going on. So if I wanted to have an enemy type that could only be destroyed by like 2 skeletons hitting it within short succession, I don't know how I'd introduce that mechanic when there's a bunch of enemies coming down, right? So I think for that reason, it may be useful to do a series of levels that are like pre-designed, or maybe miniature versions of that where it's like a 15 seconds of enemies spawning. So maybe I could just take that idea that, you know, that 2-minute long level of alien invasion, but just instead of doing 2 minutes for each level, it's like, okay, the first level is like 15 seconds and it's just really easy enemies that come up. And then the second level is like 20 seconds or whatever. And then by the time you get to the final level, it's like the full-on alien invasion where you have to put all of your things to work, right? I think I might do that. I think that's what I might do. Because then I can introduce new mechanics. If you die, you can just restart at the level that you're at instead of replaying the whole game over again. And I kind of get the best of all worlds in that case. Every time you destroy an alien, you could get a skull. Oh, that's interesting. There would be so many skulls flying around. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that. Maybe I'll start with this. I'll start with this idea. So maybe that's the next best thing to do here is to get that timer working and the enemy spawning working. I think that might be the move here. I'm kind of set now, I think, on that kind of direction. What is this? Oh, that's my input map. Okay. Fix thing. Frequent commits. That's the only... If you're not being paranoid about your commits, are you even doing programming correctly? Okay. Let's close all these things. Blank slate. Yeah, I could have like a... Yeah, okay. Okay. This game is starting to make sense to me now. So really what this needs to be is that this needs to just be a... I'm going to remove this. Well, actually, do I want to? No, let's just... Let's duplicate it. Call this base level. Let's create a new folder. Base level here, we'll get rid of that script. And then we can get rid of all these things here. Cool. So this can be the template with which I build the rest of the levels. So let's go ahead and I don't usually use scene inheritance, but in this case I will. So we're going to need a couple of things. We're going to need an enemy spawner. Or do I want to just, Trixie. I think what I want to do basically is just grab a random point within the rectangle. Is there like, can I just use a container for this? I might just be able to use this as like a way to mark custom minimum size. The only problem is I don't know how big to make this. Oh, I can move it like this. Look at that. All right, that looks good to me. Now, I think the thing is I'll just make this invisible and then make sure that it's not intercepting any, like, mouse anything. Spawn container. So basically that's only there because what I can do now is I can use that as like the definition for the spawn area. Now, how do I actually manage the spawner? Probably want to create some kind of like spawner component, I would think. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we got our spawn component. Let's create a script for it. At export var spawn area container. Okay. So we can get the global rectangle from that, and then that's all we need it for, basically. And then what do I want to do? I want to create a spawn position. So var spawn. Is there a way to get... rect.position.x. So we're just grabbing a random value within this. We'll just do a preload for now. I'll probably want to make this more configurable, but we'll load up the enemy. Like so. We'll just call spawn initially on the ready, just to see if it's working. I also need to add this to an entities group. Cool. So we've got entities in there, and then var enemy is equal to enemy scene dot instantiate as enemy. Enemy dot global position is equal to position entities node dot add child enemy. So now if I were to play this level 1 here, well, first I need to add the spawn component here. Okay, let's play level 1 and see if that works. All right, we got our enemy. Look at that. First try. First try. Roguelike elements passives. I could definitely do that. Reference rect. Oh, is that a thing? Let's see. Ah, yes. That's probably better. Good call. Yeah, this is much better because I can see it now, and it presumably won't be visible in game. And then I can change this to be a reference rect. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you for the suggestion. So now we need to make this work over a period of time, now that we've got this working, which means we need to make it configurable to some extent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change this a little bit. We're going to export var enemy scenes, packed scene. Is that how you do? Is it array packed scene? Yeah. At export var spawn times array. I'm just going to do this very hackily. At export var total level time float. I'll also have to control the density of the enemies in some way, but export var max. Do something like that. This should actually be an int. Okay, so I think that's basically the things that we need to be able to control this. So let's go ahead and go to our base level here. Let's create a timer. Actually, I don't think the level timer needs to exist in there. I think I could probably put it in this here. I guess this component is not really a spawn component, it's more so a level manager component, but I'll rename that later, I suppose. Now I need a way of determining when the spawns should happen. Yeah, I think this is just gonna have to be a bunch of like arbitrary math here until I get it to where I want it to be, but we'll just start it as a 1 second wait time, I guess. Well, yeah, I don't actually know how this is going to work out in terms of how to actually balance this out, but we will try it out first. So I'm just setting up these signal methods here. Just set up those signal methods, start a bunch of timers here. If not, or if level timer is stopped, return. Otherwise, we're going to call spawn, and then we're going to return, or we're going to do spawn timer start. Cool. And then we're going to have to figure out how to determine which enemies to spawn at which times. But for now, we'll just do... We'll just hard code it there. Cool. Okay, so now I can go to my enemy scenes here. I can add an element and drag over that enemy there. Max enemies is 1. That's not in process yet. But what I'm going to do here in my spawn component is I'm going to print level over. I think what I need to do is go to my enemy here, add it to an enemy group, and then when I go to my spawn component here, I can say if get tree dot get nodes in group enemy dot count is greater than max enemies, then we're just going to return. What don't you like about this? Oh, is it dot size? Right, it's dot size, okay. So, max enemies, so if I go to my level 1 here, I should be able to do 3 max enemies. All right, let's just see if that works, I guess. Invalid index timeout on what? Oh, is this called level timer? So I shouldn't see any more than 3 enemies. It's already broken. Time should be greater than 0. Right. Wait. It's set right there. Oh. I'm not running this level. There we go. So I shouldn't see more than 3 enemies at a time. Oh, it's already not working. Wait, why did that not work? Did I do something wrong here? Let's see. Greater than or equal to. Yeah, definitely want to wait for Godot to get more mature and stable. I'm in the same boat. I did the same thing again. Hello, Mendy. Okay. So yeah, that's just restarting at the base level every time. So I think an easy way to fix that is just to put level 1 here instead. Yeah, I could definitely have some sort of like tractor beam UFO style bring the aliens down. And we should see the level is over. Yeah, so if I just add some more like combat mechanics here, add some nice particles and whatnot, I think it could be really, really fun. You know what would be really cool is like being able to set an enemy down and explode it in addition to launching it. I'll play with it. I'll have to play with it and see what works in terms of the combat here, but I think it has the potential to be pretty fun. Thank you. Only a few hours of work on the game so far. But I think the next thing to do is to start working on all the combat and whatnot. Very nice. All right, well, I am going to end the stream there, though. Sorry, Mendy, I know you just joined, but yeah, it was a good couple hours just about stream here. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna go take a break, eat some lunch, all that good stuff. But yeah, be on the lookout for the devlog, and also probably will be streaming either again later today or tomorrow. And if you're interested in learning how to build a game in Godot 4, you can check out my Udemy course. The link for that is in the description below. And yeah, I think that's about it. So thanks again, everyone, for joining the stream. It was nice hanging out with you. And I will see you all soon, hopefully. All right. Take care, everyone.